Welcome to Texas Football Talk. I'm your host, Jeremy Lockley, once again joined by my brother Clint this episode, talking about the position we've all been waiting for, the quarterback position, led by A.J. Milwee. How you doing, brother?
Hey, pretty good, man. Like you said, quarterbacks coach A.J. Milwee and really Coach Steve Sarkeesian has their first quarterback competition on the 40 acres that we've seen in 4 years. Obviously, this is the position review that I think not just us, but everybody else has been waiting for. So obviously, A.J. Milwee comes to the University of Texas from Alabama, where he was an offensive analyst, and then he had an opportunity to go be an offensive coordinator. But Steve Sarkeesian asked him to come to the University of Texas to be his quarterback's coach. I think it's a trust thing. I think he understands the lingo. I think he understands what Steve Sarkeesian wants in a quarterback. So it will help minimize the time that's, obviously Coach Sarkeesian has to spend in that quarterback room. But I'm pretty sure it'll be quite a bit that he does spend there. Obviously, some key departures in Sam Ehlinger, a 4-year starter at the University of Texas, graduated, just went through his pro day and looking to be drafted in the NFL, and then transfers into Quentin Jackson, quarterback out of Duncanville, Texas, transferred to the University of Utah. And then a couple of guys, quarterbacks that we got in the 2021 class, one being Cole Lord, quarterback out of Los Angeles, California, Brentwood School. And Charles Wright from Austin High School, another 3-star commit from right across the street from the University of Texas. Obviously Steve Sarkeesian's had quite a bit of media members asking what he looks for in a quarterback. And these are the 4 things that he said ad nauseum when answering that question. The first thing is obviously an innate competitor, someone that can will his team to victory when it's necessary. Someone that's going to show up to practice and regardless if it's the first rep or the 50th rep, they're going to go out there and compete and give it their all. When someone's watching and at the same time when they're watching film by themselves. The second thing is being a natural leader. Obviously, that quarterback position, you have to be a leader on that football team. Sometimes, that person can be a talker, and sometimes that individual could be a quiet professional and not say much at all. But the respect, obviously, from those student athletes, those football players around them are going to expect that individual to be a natural leader. Third thing, I think it's really important when it comes to Steve Sarkeesian's offense is quick hands. Meaning getting the ball out as fast as you can, but also being able to throw from multiple throwing angles. If you go back and you look at what Tom Brady's done, Patrick Mahomes done, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson had, baseball backgrounds where they were able to throw, the football at multiple angles, went out of the pocket and so on and so forth. And I think that's what Steve Sarkeesian is looking for in a quarterback moving forward. And then, last but not least is obviously accuracy. Being able to put the football in tight windows. You shouldn't expect your wide receivers to be able to get, free releases and so on and so forth. So the quarterback is always going to have accuracy, and the goal is to obviously have a high passer percentage. Your thoughts, man, on the quarterback room moving forward?
Yeah, no, I'll let you go for a minute because you touched on everything. The new quarterback coach coming in had been selected to be an offensive coordinator in another program. And like you said, his comfort level with Steve Sarkeesian, the ability to come to the University of Texas to coach this crop of quarterbacks is something A.J. Milwee has chose to do. He has a good young room. Again, none of these guys have experience greater than a half football in most cases, with Casey getting the second half against Colorado in the Alamo Bowl. But talented. They're 4-star kids. When you're talking about Hudson Card was a 4-star, nearly a 5-star. He came in, like you said, with Quentin Jackson in that class. Quentin chose to transfer, but it's those 2 guys coming in that were not separated by very much as far as the recruiting rankings were concerned. And then, like you said, Casey Thompson out of Newcastle, Oklahoma, has been in the program for a while. Came in with Cam Rising, another guy who transferred to the University of Utah, but has been in the program for a while. And it's probably the guy who is going to get the looks with the ones first, only because it's a little bit more playing experience and the first guy off the bench last year. But like you said, it's an open quarterback competition for the first time in 4 years. I out of the four traits that you talked about, Coach Sarkeesian really having to have in a quarterback, you talked about an innate competitor, natural leader, quick hands, and accuracy. I feel like the the quarterback that just graduated that's going to the next level, Sam Ehlinger, had phenomenal competitiveness. He had phenomenal leadership skills. Where he may have lacked and may have regressed was in his accuracy, and I don't think it was part for Sam, but more the system was the 50-50 balls. Basically, they didn't give him an opportunity to throw at all levels to the receivers like a Jordan Whittington or Jake Smith. It was more of a 50-50 ball to Brennan Eagles, 50-50 ball to Josh Moore, especially last year. I think the passing game kind of dissolved a little bit. And no fault to Sam's. Like I said, he didn't have the playbook that I think Steve Sarkisian brings to the 40 acres this year. And then talking about quick hands, he took a lot of sacks. He was more of a in the pocket passer, 3-step drop, 5-step drop. And like I said, mainly the passing route tree wasn't utilized as it should have been. And so he took a lot of sacks. But like you're talking about, I see these guys talking about Hudson Card, who was a wide receiver prior to his time at Lake Travis as quarterback. I think he's a wide receiver with young Garrett Wilson at Lake Travis before he transferred over to – and Charlie Brewer was their quarterback before he moved to quarterback. So these guys are both athletes, quick guys, fast guys. So I think you'll see more of a development as rolling out to the right, to the left, not straight drop back passers. And again, RPO is going to have a whole lot to do with that package of using their legs to threaten the defense, whereas Sam was more of a bruiser, a third and short, fourth and short type runner. I see these guys as being have an opportunity to use their legs as much as their arm.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is obviously you don't want them to use their legs as much as what obviously the previous regime used with Sam Ehlinger. Obviously with the running back room the way it is at this particular point, it's really a positive that you have a running back room now with the lack of experience in Hudson Card and Casey Thompson. You can and I think that Steve Sarkisian is going to lean on that running back room, but he's also going to allow for his skill players to be able to make plays, and I think that's big with with two quarterbacks that currently don't have the experience. And I think if you go back and look at the experience between both of them, I think you're looking at 20 total passes over a 5 games, 5 game with each one of them obviously playing very little time. I think Casey Thompson playing the second half of Colorado is probably the most he's played in a Texas Longhorn uniform, and he showed what he can do from a quarterback standpoint. But go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, it's a quick point. Like somebody wrote a comment in our running back overview that this running back room is going to take the pressure off the young quarterbacks, and that's any quarterback's best friend is a good running game. And I really see this as being a balanced offense. I see 20-25 rush attempts, 20-25 pass attempts in balance. If we get more plays, if we run 70 plays, 35-35, if we run 90 plays, 45-45, I really see this as being a balanced offense going forward. And I really don't know if we're going to, the past, the fast break offense, I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot of no huddle lining up at the line of scrimmage. Stuff that we'll be able to see on April 24th with the spring game is how they run the offense. So they maximize, try to get as many plays and keep the defense on their heels, keep the same defenders on the field if they possibly can by running a no huddle hurry up, or are they going to huddle up and play that balance game and that RPO game? More to follow.
Yeah, so I picked out 8 years of obviously offensive coordinator, quarterback coach experience for Steve Sarkisian, going back to 2005 and Matt Leinart. And when you look at the numbers, you're looking at 2014 with Cody Kessler there at USC. 452 pass attempts was the most pass attempts that he had out of those 8 seasons. 39 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and then you go to 2019. With Tua Tagovailoa, where you're talking about only 252 pass attempts at 2,840 yards, but the touchdowns are there, 33 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. And I'd have to go back and look at Alabama to see what they did with the run game in that 2019, because if you go to 2020 and Mac Jones, you're looking at 402 rush attempts at almost he had 1,700 more yards than what Tua did the previous year under the same offensive coordinator. So I think he's going to obviously gear his offense towards what his obviously what his best skill position is. So to his strengths, which would be running backs at this particular point. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up because really with Matt Leinart, you're looking at 431 passing attempts. And then with Mark Sanchez, 366 passing attempts, still had over 3,000 yards, still had over 30 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. But I just kind of wanted to go through those numbers. There were 8 kind of just specific years that I wanted to kind of pull out with different types of quarterbacks at different coaching stops for Steve Sarkisian. But again, I think the biggest thing with this quarterback room at this particular point is probably experience. I think it's going to take all the way until the summer, probably a few weeks, probably before the game, the actual game, to figure out who the starter is going to be. And it wouldn't surprise me. It really would not surprise me if going into the first game you named a starter, but at the same time if you had an opportunity to play, either Casey Thompson or Hudson Card, depending on who did not start, you had an opportunity to play those guys. To me, I think you would do that as well, because you don't know what you're going to, with the lack of experience at this particular point. I think the only thing that I have fear of is of injury or, obviously at this particular point, COVID-19 protocols, if those are still existing during the fall. So,
yeah, you hit on it. But so going back and look at these numbers are fantastic. Like you say, you go all the way back to 2005 and Matt Leinart, to modern day 2020 and Mac Jones. And I circled Cody Kessler, Tua, and then Mac Jones. And it really shows that, again, Steve Sarkisian's offense is based on strength. Again, Tua had a hell of a receiving core. He had Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Mac Jones, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, receiving core of Jalen of Waddle and also Devontae Smith. It shows me that he's going to find what the weaknesses are on defense. He's going to exploit them. If it's your pass defense, he's going to exploit it. If it's your rush defense, he's going to exploit it. He's going to figure out what your weaknesses are, and he's going to go after them. The other thought was the starter. I really feel like you have to name a starter 10 days out from Louisiana. I believe that's the first game next year. I haven't really looked at the schedule, but when that first game comes up, I really feel like that quarterback, because of his inexperience, is going to need a full week of practice prep with the ones. He's going to need 80% of the snaps. Different from last year when we said, hey, Casey might want to get 50% of the snaps along with Sam because COVID was hot back then. And if you lose Sam to either having it or contact tracing or this, that, and the other, you want to have, because of the lack of an experience, them taking practice reps. This year, I don't see it because the vaccine's out, not wanting to get medical, but because the vaccine's out, I think the prevalence of the disease is going to be a lot less when September rolls around. And I definitely agree with you that the quarterback needs a package. The backup needs a package. And hopefully, like we said last year, hopefully all gas, no brakes allows you to get those leads on teams that you can get whoever the second guy is. And maybe a Charles Wright or a Cole Lord into the ball game in the second half. That's what you'd like to see. Is development through 40-point blowouts when the fall happens. But more to follow. We'll see. But I think you got to pick a starter.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Just pick a starter.
No, that's it.
I think the biggest thing right now is this is not, obviously Texas fans just looking at this. This is not just Texas, football looking at this. This is really going to be the nation at looking at who Steve Sarkisian is going to name as his first quarterback at the University of Texas, which is absolutely important moving forward, as a program. So we hope you like this position review, quarterback position review. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. If you like our content, please tell somebody else about us. We'd appreciate it. As always, you can find us on Twitter at TX Football Talk, on Facebook at TX Football Talk, and on Instagram at TX Football Talk. We appreciate you listening as always, and hook 'em.
Hook 'em.